Enya, how motivated is Iran to goad, and I know you've written about this, to goad Hezbollah into a war with Israel?
It is Iran's number one goal to try and use its proxies. It has invested heavily in these proxies. Hamas is, until recently, we don't know if that's going to continue, but for the past several years has received up to $100 million a year from Iran. And Hezbollah has received about $700 million from Iran. So all in all, there are other proxies they're also funding. There are 19, we've done research, and you can see it on FDD's website. There are 19 Iran-backed terror organizations on Israel's border. So Iran has invested heavily in this. It is a key tenet of the regime to see Israel destroyed. And you can see that in the way that it has deployed these proxies and Iran-backed terror groups around Israel's borders. So, you asked me earlier what's going to happen with the second front. There's no doubt from the rhetoric coming out of Iran that they want is a full court press with all of their investments. They want to see the return on investment. They've been paying into this fund for decades, and now they're waiting to see what these proxies can produce for them. There's no doubt that this is their goal. Why it hasn't happened yet, we can only theorize. Some people have suggested, and I think this is as likely as any other guess, that everyone was expecting Israel to go in very quickly after the massacres. And if you look back at the documentation, there was Hamas encouraged its fighters to cause as many casualties and to kill as many civilians and bring back as many hostages as possible, possibly trying to goad Israel into a full-scale invasion of Gaza, which would have ended up in terribly high casualties for the IDF.
And yet those hostages, of course, have been one of the reasons that it's given people pause in terms of a full-scale ground attack. Is that correct?
So I don't know how much the hostages are playing into the IDF's decision-making, to be honest. The rhetoric from the beginning was that if they bow to these tactics, then they are only putting a higher price on the heads of Israeli civilians. So the rhetoric, it doesn't match the rhetoric. As the IDF has said from the beginning, we have to prosecute this war as if there were no hostages, and we will do our best to bring them home. But the international community has certainly placed a high value on these hostages. You've had just last week Biden and Chancellor Scholz from Germany, and of course Emmanuel Macron just this week visiting. All three have hostages from their countries held in Gaza.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a lot of pressure, understandably and quite rightly, quite correct, that there should be this pressure on Israel to try and work towards the release of the hostages.